In this video, we're going to talk a little bit more about what these buttons do and try to go over each one of them so that you can fully understand how to use the software to the best of your ability. So, let's just start clicking buttons. Normal text input. This is going to give you most of the things that you would see in a paragraph. Things like, let's see here, let's just put an either tag around these and do one or more of. And we'll just write out a little sentence so you can see. This is a sentence, period. This is sentence 2, comma, cool. I'll just do that actually. So, as you can see, it picked up basically, well, I believe it picked up all of that. So it's just, it's normal input. It's only picking up on basically like words, numbers, spaces, like apostrophes and quotation marks, and most normal punctuation. You can remove the slashes in front of the punctuation here and then copy this out to a larger like notepad or something to see more of what it does, but it's just a quick and easy way to get just normal text. So that's why I included it there. Letters. This is going to get you only lowercase and then only uppercase. So this will get you all letters, but if for some reason you only want lowercase, then you just remove the uppercase. And likewise, if you only want the uppercase, you can come in and just remove the lowercase. In most cases, it's not necessary to distinguish between the two, so that's why it is just letters. Numbers gets you the numbers, and then any character will get you anything. Now this is a period. It's represented as a period in regular expressions. So if you actually ever want to write a period, you will have to escape it like so, and that means a normal period. So just keep that in mind. Now, when you are working with the buttons, they are in a left to right format, because in English we read left to right, so it makes the most sense. The first three here, normal, letters, and numbers, are probably always going to be followed up by one of these middle buttons. The anything character is probably only going to be followed up by one of these. So it's just something to keep in mind that as a typical rule of thumb, at least, the first three, you're probably going to have to use one of these. The last one, you're probably going to have to skip this section. So just something to keep in mind, especially if you're just starting out. If you're just starting out, just keep that as like a rule of thumb. I can't like think of any cases off the top of my head where you would break that rule. I mean, I'm sure there's some example out there that exists, but at the moment I can't think of any. Alright, so the middle is, we're like encapsulating what we chose over here. So if we want to do, let's say, only letters, we're going to generally be surrounding that with an either. That's just how it works. If you want to get only letters, you're probably going to be putting it as either, because that's saying basically either you want any letter between A and Z in lowercase or in uppercase. So let's say that your only goal is to find only letters. Just doesn't matter, you would just do letters, either, create, and then you can write out a sentence here saying like, this is a sentence. Yeah, I'm not very creative, as you can see. Hit test, and as you can see, it just simply grabbed all the letters one by one, each as a result. If you wanted to grab them in like words, then you would come over here and you would specify, like, we only want letters. It doesn't matter what they are, as long as it's between these, basically, one or more of. Hit create, and then as you can see now, we get 4 results because the spaces are not letters. So that one's actually using all 3. We're saying we only want letters. We want either, meaning we want any. Basically, either means any, basically. And then we want, there's always going to be 1 or more in the match. Except, let's do sentence. Let's put like a number in sentence. So let me think. Okay, yeah. All right. So let's say we want to do, we want to use except for some reason. We don't want to get certain things, and in this case, maybe we don't want to get any number for some reason. We can choose numbers, and we can choose except, which means it'll get, at this point, any result except a number. And if we hit create and test this, it's going to get us all the results. This is a sentence, including the spaces, except it's going to leave out the number 7. So, in most cases, you're actually going to be using either. You'll probably find some case, especially like using it like inline or something, like this could easily be in the middle of a much more complicated regular expression. So yeah, I can't think of a better example than that off the top of my head. Let's just move on to enclosed. Enclosed, pretty simple. It just, you want an exact match of something. So let's say that let's say you wanted to match the word regex for some reason. You would hit enclosed, and now we can hit create. Let's do regex, and then a space with regex with a capital. And as you can see, only regex comes up. So this is going to be handy when like when there's something specific that's always going to be there in your regular expression. Because most of these, while I'm showing you like little examples, you're going to be putting them together and most likely using the inline feature. And we'll try to like, maybe at the end of this video, we'll like just create some longer, more complicated regular expression, and then you can see sort of it all working together. I think that would be a big help. All right, so I've gone over the first 2 tabs for the most part. 0 or 1 of, let's see here. All right, let's create some fake links that are just with anchor text. And in one of them, I'm going to put a number here, and one of them, I'm going to put 2 numbers here. So let me think here. I'm going to try and create this like a little bit more complicated, I guess. So let's say we want to have test. All right, so we're going to enclose. That's always going to be there. We're going to add that. Then we want a number, but we only want either 0 or 1. So let's go over to the numbers. Either do 0 or 1 of. We can add that. And now it should get either, it'll get test 2, or test 2, but without the 3. Because it only wants 0 or 1 of. And if we were to make this a little more complicated and maybe put that in the back and that in the front, then the third result should disappear altogether. because that second number is there, it doesn't match the full regular expression there. So that's we're stepping up a little now, getting a little more complicated. I think at the end we'll just do, we'll do like one big regular expression at the end that hopefully shows a lot of these. Because like 0 or more of, it's your star. 1 or more of is just, it's just your plus sign. And exactly in between, like these are all pretty self-explanatory, I think, but I'll kind of go over them quick. Like if we want numbers or letters, in most cases these are interchangeable, honestly. Like you can either do 0 or more of if you're not sure if it's going to be there, or in most cases I think you're going to be pressing 1 or more of, and this is just going to get you groups of letters basically, because it's looking for any lower or uppercase letter. Like this is crazy case, and then it's looking for 1 or more of them at a time, right? So that's what you get, is you get the results, like the first result contains the 4, and then it contains the 2, and so on. So exactly, let's say we only want again letters, we want either, and we want exactly 2. And create that and hit test, and it's going to give you the groups of 2 letters. And then let's say we want between, let's say we want 1 and 5, and that's going to okay, letters either between 1 and 5, and that is going to get you the groups of the letters between 1 and 5, and of course they all fit inside of that number range, so we just get all of those again. So let's create something kind of complicated. Try to use as many of these as possible here. I'm thinking like an email address, because those are like, here's the template. That's the template for email, but we might make it a little different. Like I don't want to make it too complicated, so we might add in some other kind of like crazy rules. Like let's like write out a few emails. So like something that email 123 at gmail.com. Then we do like some email, to some email at yahoo.com. Let's see here. You know what? Let's make them both start with something, or with some. That way we can get in another rule. So, alright, let's try to match like these emails, and then we'll like make some more like this is email 3 at whatever. And maybe we'll put one up here. It doesn't really matter what the text is. Just as long as it's a little bit different maybe. So inside of an email, our rules are going to be it starts with some. That way we can at least get some more matches in there. So we're going to do enclosed because we want it to be exact. So, and this is going to be the first thing in our expression. So it's going to start with some. Now we can look at what else is in these emails. In this case, we have a period. Otherwise, it appears to be letters, numbers. We're just going to do the first half first. So let's just focus on that. In this one, we have letters and numbers and no period. So we need a period, we need letters, and we need numbers, right? So let's do this period, period, and letters. All right, and we need numbers too, right? So numbers. We'll throw all 3 of those together and now enclose it. All right, and there can be, you know, theoretically 0 or more of. Let's add that. Then after that, there's always going to be an @ symbol inside of a email address. So let's go find that. Let's add that. And then after that is a domain name. Let's just pretend for simplicity's sake that the domain only contains letters. So we're going to do either. And it has to have 1 or more of them because it has to exist, right? So we'll do that. Finally, after the domain, there has to be a period, and then the domain extension. So we'll add the period. And then the domain extension, let's pretend that it's just the old extensions, the old TLDs, not like any of the new ones. And in fact, just so you're aware, this email template does not include things for like dot marketing and stuff like that. So just FYI, there's just too many variables to account for there. So, and we're gonna do the same thing here. So it can be like, in this case, we're just gonna count like .com, .net, .org, but there could be like .mobi, there could be like .ca. So there can be between 2 and 4, typically. Between 2 and 4 letters, and there can only be letters. So we're gonna do letters again. It can be either, but it has to be between 2 and 4. All right, so we're gonna add that, and now we get this expression. So let's test. And we get the 2 emails that we were going for. So just to break it down real quick, once again, we took the first part of the expression must contain some, okay, which they do. Then it can contain either a period, a lowercase letter, an uppercase letter, or a digit, and there can be 0 or more of them. So combining the start of some plus the rest of it, it takes us all the way up until our next bit. So all of these start with some. They contain either lowercase or uppercase letters, numbers, and digits, which they do. Following that, there's an @ sign, which of course there is, it's an email. Following that, there can be either a lowercase or uppercase letter in 1 or more of them, because it's a domain name. I mean, it has to exist, right? And we didn't include numbers here to make this a little shorter, and there could also be hyphens, but you know, that's something you could do on your own, is you could replicate this, and maybe you can expand upon it a little bit and include numbers and hyphens, and see if you can come up with that result. That would be really good. Following the domain name, there has to be a period for the extension, and then the extension, in our case, we have, well, first of all, the extension, no matter what, can only contain letters. So lower uppercase letters, and that actually doesn't matter in this case, because some people write like, you know, email at whatever, you know, .com, like that. So anyways, the extension can only contain letters in 2 or 4. So that is an example of something that's a little trickier, obviously, but hopefully you learn how to do that. And I suggest that you go out and try making this on your own. If you want to make it a little bit harder on yourself, what you can do is you can try and make the domain include numbers and hyphens. So you would just add some numbers and a hyphen, like that. Then, if you really want extra credit, what you do is change the domain to also include that. Also include, you know, to extensions like .co.uk, .co.in, things like that. So I hope that you learned a lot from this video, and I hope that you take this knowledge and test this out for yourself. If you're, kind of newer to regex and you're kind of newer to all this, then this should hopefully act as good learning material.